There have been plenty rumors surrounding the deeply troubled production that is Star Wars Rise of Skywalker. From as much as 75% of the movie being rumored to have been reshot, to as much as 6 endings being possible with editing on several different iterations of the movie. Now, courtesy of our good friend the exalted Doomcock, we have more information on the 3 main iterations of the movie. Well, strictly speaking, we have more rumors to add further clarity to the existing rumors. So have a grain of salt on standby, because in this video, I will first go through the most recent rumors. Then I'll add the new information I have learned, and finally give my take on it all. Before we begin though, I would ask that if you like the content provided in this video, then leave a like and subscribe, and in the process, make sure to indicate that you want notifications on all videos. Also, if you subscribe to a newspaper or magazine out there in the real world and you fail to read a copy, they won't cancel your subscription. But YouTube kind of works like that, so I'd also like to ask existing subscribers to check that you're still subscribed, and to make sure that you too get notifications on all videos. With that out of the way, let's dive in. These rumors come to us from Doomcock, and every time we bring forth rumors that come from him, some of you always ask, why do we report rumors from Doomcock? He's a hater. To which I say, no, that's misrepresenting him. He's someone who loves film, who loves culture, and our cultural institutions. To the extent of which he hates anyone, it would be those who would burn those very institutions to the ground. Kind of like we're seeing done to Star Wars. Besides, we've heard much of the same of what Doomcock has reported through our own sources, plus some additional details that we'll get to in due course. Some of you may also wonder, why report on these rumors at all? Much of this can be found on Reddit too, so isn't it all bullshit for that very reason? To you I say, just because it can't be verified and therefore must be treated as rumor, doesn't mean it's wrong. We've reported such rumors on a whole host of other properties too, most recently Terminator Dark Fate, and much more often than not, these rumors tend to pan out. In the case of Rise of Skywalker, however, it is much more difficult to say one way or the other, since we are dealing with a movie that has, in effect, been remade several times over. Which is why there are several different iterations of it, and with these, even more endings are possible with editing. We've previously reported that at one point, a total of 6 outcomes were possible. What all of these different cuts have in common is that they all start out pretty much the same, but then they become more and more different as they progress. In the most original iteration of the movie, Rey is at her most invincible and her most awesome. In the end, she handily defeats the one who in this cut is her grandpa, namely the Emperor himself. This is significant, because the Emperor is by far the greatest tactician and the most skilled fighter with a lightsaber in the entire Star Wars universe. I mean, this is the guy who single-handedly ended the Jedi's rule over the galaxy, and made himself the supreme ruler of his empire instead. Even Yoda couldn't defeat him. It took the combined efforts of Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, and the element of surprise to do it the last time. Rey, however, defeats him, and by proxy, every other Jedi there ever was. She is the greatest. But that is not all. According to Doomcock's source, she adds insult to injury by stomping the vanquished Emperor's ass. Take that, patriarchy. As it turned out, the original Kennedy and Abrams cut did not sit well with test audiences, with only non-fans reportedly liking the ending. This in turn did not sit well with Bob Iger, who ordered reshoots which saw both Luke Skywalker and Anakin Skywalker appear in the flesh on screen. Just a side note here, you may recall that in our video where we first broke that 6 endings were possible, we also reported the rumors that Hayden Christensen had been present during the reshoots, so this certainly fits in with that. That said, no further details are available for this cut, but it reportedly tested better. George Lucas has consulted on the movie, both at the scripting stage and in the editing bay, and reportedly, his advice resulted in a cut which takes some elements from the Kennedy and Abrams cut and some elements from the Bob Iger cut, but then goes off in a mostly new third act, in which a new, hitherto unseen character is introduced as the rising Skywalker. This cut of the movie tested best of all. However, it is the cut which may be the furthest removed from Kathleen Kennedy's original intention, as Rey doesn't get to shine as much in it, so Kennedy and her loyalists at Lucasfilm could very well have lobbied against it. In terms of what we might be seeing in the movie itself, I have nothing further to add. What I've heard from my inside sources is that the final batch of reshoots ended a few weeks back, and that the cut has been locked, although I do not know which cut has been locked. However, from what I'm hearing, it is a cut that no one is really happy with. It represents nobody's vision. Nobody got their way. The final cut is reportedly a Frankensteinian mix, cobbled together by bits and pieces of other cuts. And these pieces were in part selected by test screenings, and in part by certain higher-ups pulling rank. Then the rest was smoothed out and edited to fit around this. Very much so, filmmaking by committee. It should be said though, that this may be the cut which is the most acceptable to Star Wars fans. They are now working overtime to finish the effects and everything else needed to make the finished product presentable to the public. They'll make it, but the total cost of this production will be astronomical. Furthermore, I'm hearing that the working environment behind the scenes is positively toxic. Everyone is arguing, everyone is finger pointing, and pretty much everyone who has their name on the line wants to bail. On that note, they're also struggling with recruiting new top talent, because word is getting around the industry that the risk of being associated with Star Wars right now is greater than the reward. Do note that I said top talent. They can always recruit someone. It is not that nobody wants to work for Star Wars. It is that the very top talent that Disney wants working on Star Wars are declining the opportunities to do so. Midnight's Edge were the first to report that as many as 6 different versions of the movie were possible with editing, and this certainly fits right in with that. Whether the one they landed on was one of those 6, or an amalgamation of several of them, the choice has now been made, and from what I'm hearing, they've gone with the safest edit that was possible within the multitude of available footage at hand, and there was a lot of footage at hand. I do hope that within it, there is a good movie that will go a long way towards mitigating the damage that already has been done to the brand. However, given the track record of those involved with making this, I can't help but worry that none of that footage was too pleasing to the built-in audience anyway. I hope for the best, I do, but honestly, I worry that them going with the safest cut they could come up with only means that you won't be as disappointed by the release version as you would have been by the other cuts that you know didn't make the cut. If that turns out to be the case. If the movie doesn't give the built-in fans the closure they need, and if it doesn't go far enough in mitigating the damage done by the combination of The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens, then honestly, I'll be even more disappointed that they even tried. If something has been as thoroughly destroyed as Star Wars has been, and they can't fix it in a meaningful way, then a part of me would like to see them freaking go all out instead. Make it so bad and so over the top that we have no choice but to consign all of this to fan fiction, and get a good laugh in the process amid all the tears. Like for instance, the Kennedy cut, which at least one of Doomcock's sources claimed ended with Rey stomping Palpatine's ass. Now, I haven't heard that myself, and I do question the veracity of it. But in this case, I'd be all for Kathleen Kennedy reading about the gangland and prison misadventures of Chopper Reed, taking inspiration from that, and have Rey do it properly, figuratively sticking it to patriarchy and toxic masculinity in the process. I mean, that's what this whole trilogy has been about anyway. That's the central overriding theme, and Kathleen Kennedy's vision. Money-wise, Rise of Skywalker will do just fine, and no one here has ever claimed differently. But where fan backlash is concerned, if there is no escaping that iceberg at this point, you might as well steer straight for it and collide head-on. But that's just me and my male perspective, which is kind of irrelevant because this Star Wars wasn't made for me. One of Kathleen Kennedy's express goals with this new trilogy was to grow Star Wars' female fan base, and the question remains, how successful was she in doing that? That I cannot say, but I know someone who can, namely the ladies in our live show which is about to make the move to the main channel, Toxic Femininity. That is going live in just a few hours, so be sure to be here for that. Till then though, let me know your thoughts on all of this and your hopes for Rise of Skywalker in the comments.